Okay, picking up where we left off on page 262, talking about how to build a navigation structure. Just for yucks, I'm just going to copy and paste this because I really need more than just 2 examples. Otherwise, it looks pretty silly. So I'm just going to duplicate these over again because I'm lazy. All right, so now I got 4 things that show up in the list. I guess I'll do something to make them a little different. But all right, cool. All right, whatever. So now I have multiple items in my thing, but they kind of look kind of silly because, you know, that's not normally the way things look, you know, with bullets and all, and most of the time, if it's a navigation structure, a real honest-to-God navigation structure, you probably don't, not only do you not have the bullet list, you probably don't have well, maybe you do. Maybe you have these things appear as hyperlinks. It very well could be. So I'm going to go in there and tweak this guy. So first thing I'm going to do is mess with the UL guy, the unordered list, because I want to make these little bullet guys go away. How do you do that? So how do you go to, I'm going to use what's called descendant. Remember that? Descendant selectors. So inside my nav, I want to talk to the UL. So space means not ULs everywhere in your entire page, but the ULs inside nav, and that's probably going to be the only ones you got, right? Okay, just saying. So, there's a way you can do this. There's on page 262, there's a table 6.3 that talks about all the properties in this guy. And there's a list style type where you can tell it what kind you want. A position, even images. In the example in the book, they have one of those little Trillium images they use instead of the bullet. That's kind of wild. What I want to do is I just want to turn the bullet off. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say list style type, and I'm just going to tell it none. So that means you're still a bullet list, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Cool. All right. Here we go. So now it looks pretty cool. It just the way it normally is. All right. Cool. So we've kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Now we're not quite done, obviously. I'm going to make the underlines go away inside here because we're getting ready to do something different. Okay, instead of having underlines, we're going to have another feature show up. And so, in order for me to have this other feature work, I'm going to remove the underlines. And so, once again, how do I talk to a part? Well, again, I don't want to do every single hyperlink everywhere on the planet. I only want to do the hyperlinks inside nav. Remember that? Okay. So there's some properties there. One of the things they talk about is called text decoration. That's one of the properties. So I'm just going to do text decoration, and I'm going to tell it none. All right, so now when I go there, it's not going to have underlines, and it's not going to have bullets. Cool. But I do want it to have something special. When I roll over these things, I want it somehow to be different. I want to be able to see as I'm rolling my mouse over, I want to be able to see that somehow it change. That would be kind of cool. And just because this is driving me nuts when I put 2 in there, I'm going to fix that. Okay. But for us to do this, we need to talk about a new concept that's in the book called called pseudo classes. On page 265, there's a new thing. Now, remember class is you tell it you have a class, and then class equals, and you use dot, whatever, right? Okay. Well, this is called pseudo class because I can't really go in and create a class for this, because what I'm doing is I'm going to the A tag and I'm going to mess with it whether or not I'm hovering over it or not. So the choices are, I can have when I link on a hyperlink, when I visited a hyperlink, where it's changed the color, when I have focus over it, when I'm hovering over it. I want to talk about hovering. I want to change something on hovering. So one more time, here we go. nav, because I only want this to happen inside nav, a colon. Okay, colon brings up pseudo classes. Now, I'll admit, not every tag in the entire system has pseudo things here. They don't all have pseudo classes. Like, okay, let's go back to paragraph. P colon. There's not that much there for me to do. But A colon, there's a lot of stuff. And so what I want to do here is I want to go through and find the one called hover. Okay, so hover means whenever the mouse is hovering over that text, I want you to do something. And so what do you want to do? Well, do you remember how to make the weight? Remember the font weight guy? Remember that? Font weight. And I can say bold. Okay? Now, you might think, well, we're done. Well, I'm going to be very careful when I bring this up. So I'm going to start from the bottom and see it made it bold. And then I move up to the next one and made it bold. Move up to the next one and made it bold. Now, isn't this kind of an interesting way of seeing that you're actually on the right one? Isn't that pretty cool? So maybe you want to do font changes. Maybe you want to go to italics. Do something so that when you're hovering over stuff. Now, by default, remember how the colors change, right? That's kind of the default thing. Now, you can change that because the visited, let's say I want to make, if I've been there before, I want the link to turn red or something. I don't know, something stupid. So let's do nav a. So this time it'll be visited. So after I've been there. Okay. And I don't know. I guess font color, I guess. That'd be no, that'd be just plain old color. Color red. Alright. So let's just try this one more time. And well, that was a stupid example because I have visited all these. Okay. Bad example. Because I have visited these guys before, and so it kind of kept. I thought it was gonna. I guess I could clear the cache and it'll figure it out, but I'm not gonna do that. All right. So these are examples of how to do pseudo classes, and I'll admit there's gonna be some more in the next chapter, but for right now, the only pseudo classes you need to worry about in this chapter are the ones associated with the A tag. They're on page 265. Okay, so remember I talked to you about block tag, kind of, sort of, difference between a block tag and an inline tag? Yeah, I know, it's a little weird. There is a way that you can convert an inline tag and a block tag, or vice versa. Something that is inherently block, I can kind of make it inline, and something that's inline, I can make it block. So let me give an example. On let's say, for example, instead of having a navigation structure that went down, I want the navigation structure to go across, okay? So this is going to require me to have some structural changes. I tell you what, just to kind of save time and energy, I'm just gonna make this like 500, all right? I know this is going to be stupid, but just give me a break. I need more real estate, and so rather than redesigning the whole page to make this, normally, if you wanted the nav to go, horizontal rather than vertical, you'd probably put it up at the top. But since I've already made this thing a side-by-side example, okay, so let me just show you what I'm talking about. I know this is going to look dumb. So instead of having this go this way, I want it to go that way. All right? So I want this guy, instead of being a block tag, I want this guy to appear like it's actually going side to side. Okay, cool. So here's how you would do that. I would go here, and I would say nav again. I'd go to my LI guy and say, instead of display is the key that does this. Instead of saying block, which it normally would be, and what's the definition of block? Well, the block is it's going to consume all the available space and then go to the next line, whatever that space is, right? Inline means, well, just, put it on in. So I'm going to say inline. Okay, now this will work, okay, by just doing that. It'll work, but it's going to look ridiculous because there's no way to tell them. All the words are going to be jammed together. Okay, so it kind of makes sense if these things had some spacing between the two, because these are mostly all the same size, but looks, you can't tell the difference between that space there looks identical to that one, right? So that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 links, but it's not. It's not 6 links, there's 4. So we're going to have to go tweak something in here. So if you do that kind of thing, one more time, I'm going to have to go back to that A tag. I already got one up here. I go to this A tag and say, I want to do padding. And it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do padding right and say, I don't know, normally you put in a lot, like 10 or so. Okay, let's try that. And now you should be able to tell where those things start and stop. See, now it kind of looks like, okay, that's articles and that's 2 words, but it's still the same. That's 1 word and that's 2 words. Cool? Okay. Whew. So that's converting between a block. There are a lot more ways you can do this, but that's good enough for this chapter. Converting this guy to a block to make him go this way. Good enough. Later on, we're going to be doing some other cool stuff. On page 267, they talk about using CSS to make something that kind of sort of looks like a button. And basically what they do is they take these guys and they draw a border around each one of them and give them a color, and give them all a width and all that stuff, right? That's relatively easy, and I'm not even going to go through and tell you how to do that, because later on we're going to use honest-to-God real graphics. But basically all you have to do is to take this LI guy, tell it he has a width, and then put in a border. Okay, and normally you'd want all the buttons to be the same width, right? Come on. So whatever that is, and you'd have to fiddle with it to figure out which one fits, So I don't know, whatever it is, 75 pixels. So you say, okay, I want 75 pixels width on each one of these guys, and I want to turn the border on, I want to have a background color. And even, remember this hover thing? One of the cool things you could do is have it change the background color. Okay, let me pop over here and run this guy. So this is just another website. Whoa. Let's get to my index guy. Okay, so when I hover over these guys, it changes to bold and changes, in this case, it really is a graphic. There actually is a graphic there that is physically changing. Okay, so this is not using CSS to make it look like a button. This really is a graphical button that I built in some graphical program. Cool? All right. All right, let's get back to, not that one. Okay, let's get back to this guy. So, let's talk about, I have a piece of text. Like, let's say that I went online and I found me a graphical button. Okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go and just say, free buttons. Okay, you're going to get a gazillion of these things, right? So, here's a bunch of buttons. And so here's a button that says more info. And so you grab that guy and you put him in your web page. Okay, cool, right? It says more info. And so you click that and you're good to go, right? Right? No, because the screen reader is not going to be able to read the text inside the button. Okay, it can't do that. So I'm going to simulate a button, probably something stupid. I'm going to go here to someplace inside my normal, and I'm going to make it look like I'm doing a button. So just give me a break here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and put that image back up here. I mean, admittedly, the image of the cat probably doesn't look like a button to you, but hey, give me a break. And always have an alt tag. Okay, we're running up on the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to come back to this in just a few.